Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blood, aka Blue Justice. Anyway, enough about that movie references and here and there. So anyways, and I am from the likes of the Mexi Toys videos, as always. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic Origins for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, alongside with Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and finally the Nintendo Switch. So last time we have officially completed Sonic the Hedgehog 2 by not only just going through multiple zones in that game, which appears to be Misty Cave Zone, alongside with Hidden Palace Zone, Oil Ocean Zone, Metropolis Zone, Sky Chase Zone, Wing Fortress Zone, and finally Death Egg Zone, despite the fact I did die quite a few times during the course of being a Death Egg robot, because I wasn't exactly paying attention to his patterns and stuff like that, and occasional Mecha Sonic, and to be more specifically Silver Sonic to be more specific. Well, I don't know about you, but either way though, that's as far as I like to call it that. So anyway, and also we did somehow get the best ending in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 to see what really happens before Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is going to be the thing. So speaking of which though, today for this video is that we're going to be diving right into my favorite games of all time in this particular compilation. That is of course Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. So as a result, as you can tell from the intro cutscene before you dive right into the game, I really do love the fact that Dr. Eggman just somehow managed to able to crash land it into the forms of Hidden Palace Zone, and apparently though about the fact that he tells Knuckles about his horrible flashback after the events when me and Tails managed to able to beat the likes out of Dr. Eggman, and for whatever reason he thinks I was creepy and Tails is a lot more intimidating, which whenever I first saw it back in the forms of it last year, like, I was first of all, I was gonna get myself freaked out for a moment, because I almost first of all it was gonna be a Sonic.exe or something like that, but either way though, chances are though about the fact that this is one of those pretty cool flashbacks as far as I'm aware. So anyway, so here we go with the very first zone in terms of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, and that is of course Angel Island Zone. So relatively speaking though, this is actually Knuckles' first introduction to the forms of the Sonic the Hedgehog community. So as a result though, nothing else to be add around here, apart from the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, about the fact the matter is though, as you probably already noticed, about the fact that, well, for the first time ever, from the likes of the forms of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, finally gets its remastered treatment, and whoa, what the heck is up with that momentum? And somehow I didn't get a chance to move in this sequence this time around. Well, aside from the fact that this particular thing decides to dip down. So, yeah, it's another one of those weird collision detection thing going on around here where it comes to, like, if you try to speed things up a little bit, then you obviously come to a halt or anything else like that. So, obviously you're still able to experience certain familiar bonus stages if you're familiar with the original game, or to be more specifically with Sonic 3 and Knuckles combined into one, because originally Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was supposed to be the actual full main game back in the day, but because the actual deadline as a result, so relatively speaking though, they decided able to cut those two games into half, make it Sonic 3 alone, as well as Sonic and Knuckles alone. But again, luckily you do have a lock-on technology thing for Sonic and Knuckles, so relatively speaking though, that'll make it the true Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in theory. So as a result, this is easily one of the longest games in this entire compilation, which honestly I don't mind about it too much though, just because, you know, this game is without a doubt one of my favorite Sonic games of all time, because of all that, the amount of replayability, and also on top of all that stuff though, this is a game that is actually introduced to the forms of those elemental shields, which, you know, we're very grateful to able to make those elemental shields return during the forms of not only Sonic Lost World for the 3DS most likely, but also with the forms of Sonic Mania as well. So either way though, because chances are though, I just seriously think that the elemental shields still rocks, even to this day. So either way though, and just like always, we'll try to able to actually go after every single Chaos Emerald in this particular run-through. However though, the biggest difference is that I don't think it's possible we can able to actually get all 7 Chaos Emeralds in one zone this time, unlike in forms of how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, because relatively speaking, in order to able to actually access the special stages in this game, basically basically you have to find those giant rings in somewhere well hidden for certain areas throughout. So either way, that pretty much does it for Special Stage 2. And of course, differently this time around though, is that we can now able to actually like, well, every time whenever you die, or essentially if you manage to able to fail the special stage or anything else like that, rather than instantly go into, oh wow, this is a lot smoother this time around, because this was originally going to be on the forms of the iOS phone devices for able to actually making a remastered version of the game, but for whatever reason they never seem to release that in public though, which I honestly have no idea why that seems to be the case. My guess is the licensing issues with all that Michael Jackson's theme songs and all that stuff. So anyway, so here's the actual flame shield, which all that does is not only you can able to actually perform a fire dash, but also you can able to protect yourself from flames, like this actual first mini boss fight right here. So as you can tell, that this game has a multitude of boss fights, thanks to not only in Act 1, but also same applies with Act 2 as well. But either way though, that might be seems the case, so... And of course, in order able to actually get the continues or coins essentially in this particular title, that you have to able specifically collecting, you know, 50 rings in a special stage, and that's pretty much about it basically. Whenever you hear that kind of sound effect or something like that, basically that actually means you get yourselves a continue or coins. So, speaking of which though, when it comes to the forms of the special stages themselves, obviously it feels kind of identical to the forms of how it does it on not only the original version, but also with the forms of, actually it's kind of difficult to explain actually, because for now on though, that not only do we get ourselves a very smooth frame rate, but also that it's now in widescreen, and on top of that, there's now a counter for the rings that actually goes decreasing every time you collect those rings instead of counting upwards this time around. So keep in mind about the fact that I'm probably not gonna able to go for all the rings run this time around though for these special stages, because I'm just gonna able to be the fastest thing alive as per always. And of course we originally did this game back in 2017 for not only with Sonic and Tails' playthrough, but also with Knuckles' story, and especially noticeable a brief moment in Tails' mode. So as a result though, we can pretty much guarantee about the fact that I don't know if I can able to show you guys for that this time around though, unfortunately. But either way though, we're able to actually classify for noticing this, so... Anyway, so to get out, you have to like do a spin dash and stuff like that, so nothing else to be more specific than that. So yeah, I apologize for my comment take is a little bit bare bones recently, because apart from the fact that, well, let's get to the forms of today's discussion, is that, well, first of all, today's date is of course the 4th of March today, in this case in 2023 today. Naturally speaking though, since during the forms event yesterday, that not only did the Nintendo Switch has been out for 6 years now, but also recently yesterday that Metroid Prime Remastered also came out yesterday as well. And so far I'm still having fun with the game, especially noticeable I can now finally able to actually do a dual analog stick controls, as well as the forms of a, you know, Joy-Con controllers for its motion controls and stuff like that. Think of like you know, Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Wii, except the fact that, well, I'm pretty sure that, Maxi has already mentioned about this during the course of the, well, as far as you probably already noticed, is about the fact that not only does Maxi able to actually just start able to be doing his redo Let's Play of Piglet's Big Game, thanks to the forms of the 20th anniversary of not only for the actual movie that was based on, but also with the forms of the entire video game all about Piglet's Big Game as well. So that might be a good thing about the fact that we can able to celebrate with that particular game, plus the movie all in one for specifically for this year. So either way though, chances are, hopefully we're able to actually just to make some fans proud once again, except now with much more better quality, well, somewhat of an average quality, but as a result though, thankfully it's a little bit more better than the forms of how it does it not only back in 2012, but also in 2014/2015, potentially speaking as well, just because I remember back in the day that we have to have, like, some bit of struggles with the forms of the, you know, the YouTube partnership with all that the 15-minute limited kind of thing. So either way though, chances are though, I very appreciate how that particular playthrough is going to turn out to be, especially, you know, it's a massive improvement over the likes of how it does it back in, you know, quite a long years or something like that when it comes to like quality and you name the rest. So yeah, in terms of special stages in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, you simply have to able to like touch every single blue spheres, and then once you've done so already, then the Chaos Emerald will be yours to obtain. So once again, 7 of these things, in addition to 7 Chaos Emeralds, until when it gets to the point until on the Sonic and Knuckles stages. Basically, this is where we're able to introduce into ourselves these Super Emeralds. So, and obviously, that makes us a very special effect indeed. I have no idea why it gets like a bit of a light going on at the moment whenever you do get rid of your elemental shields, if you manage to able to go in underwater, which I've honestly have no idea why they come up with these things, so... Oh well, no big deal, but at least that's something, I guess. But also about the fact that also Journey Forms have recently as well, that both Mighty and Ray are both tackling through another video game compilation for the sake of the forms of this year, and this time what appears to be by the forms of Super Mario All-Stars, also another redo Let's Play of the forms of that particular compilation, just because, you know, they obviously already mentioned about the fact that, well, we remember back in the day in 2017 with all that bad sound mixing, and on top of all that stuff though, there's a lot of like, very floaty moments during the forms of the, whenever we played the Wii version of Super Mario All-Stars, that's basically though, it runs at 50 Hz mode, as opposed to the usual 60, so as a result though, it makes things a bit tricky at times, especially noticeable, well, most notably because we sort of used to able to actually get used to with the forms of a very fast, fluid movements and stuff like that during the course of in, you know, 60 Hz mode and all that stuff though, which either way though, that's the only thing we're sort of used to right now. So, oh wow, I just realized I actually got myself not only 201 rings, but also tons of more coins, thanks to the forms of, well, you know what I mean about the fact that with, oh, looks like Tails' AI is nowhere near as, like, painful this time around though, compared to the forms of how it does in the original version, I just realized. And also, I'm very appreciative about the fact that Sonic 3 and Knuckles is now on widescreen support, so as a result, yeah, really glad that, you know, Sonic 3 and Knuckles finally get a chance to able to get remastered treatment, but also make its return for its entire compilation game, since the last time they did this was in not only in Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection, or Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for those of you who lived in North America, but also Sonic Classic Collection on the Nintendo DS. So yeah, about time to able to actually finally get a chance to able to experience this game again, but this time on modern devices. So as a result though, yeah, I can appreciate about that. However, there are some interesting changes to this particular remastered version of the game. I just realized that you guys even remember about the fact that I do remember that time whenever you get to this particular cinematic scene right there coming up before we get into Hydro City Zone. Well, basically, you remember how that time, if you time your jumps well enough until Knuckles has activate the switch, they can able to actually obviously hop into that platform. In this version in particular, this time around though, you can't do that because it was, yeah, you know, you basically just locked in place this time around, which I guess it makes it pretty obvious because of all the fact that you just want to give you a move on, so... yeah, I guess that was it for Angel Island Zone. Pretty cool zone in particular. Well, usually a great introducing zone for, you know, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And now we move on to Hydro City Zone. In some cases, everyone else's fan-favorite zone in the game, just because of how unique it was. And especially noticeable, that zone will make it brought back during the forms of Sonic Mania, which, as a result, I usually always enjoy Hydro City Zone. Well, despite the fact you have to do it underwater most of the time, well, thankfully though, as you can tell, that despite the fact that we no longer have ourselves our bubble shield, because for whatever reason we just keep on getting hit, but either way though, because I wasn't exactly paying attention, and thus I keep on getting used to with the forms of utilizing the drop dash for whatever reason. But either way though, speaking of which though, about the fact the matter is though, there goes this sparkle effect. Yeah, in order able to actually access to one of those bonus stages in particular, there's only 3 of them, but here's the catch, is that they do have different colored sparkle effect based off of how much rings you gathered if you touch the checkpoint and all that stuff. If it does show us white sparkles right here, basically you would be able to actually access the gumball machine. But if it's yellow, you simply go for the forms of a similar special stage as in Sonic 1, except that it's more likely a combination of Sonic 1 special stages and Casino Night Zone, Casino Compulsive Gambling from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, all in one particular bonus stage, like simply grind for more rings and all that stuff. Don't get Robotnik, because otherwise you will lose your rings. So, yeah, that makes it pretty obvious for the sake of time. And if you see that red sparkle, as you probably already noticed during the forms of an Angel Island zone, basically you get yourselves the forms of that, particularly with that particular gravity ball little bonus stage that you can able to actually grab all kinds of items there, ranging from elemental shields, more rings, and especially noticeable for one-ups. Assuming, of course, if you ever played a classic mode, then obviously you probably get their suggestions by that point. So either way though, let's just go ahead and bounce along with this bubble shield and what have you. Seriously, I really love the bubble shield because not only you can able to perform a little bubble bounce, but also you can able to actually survive underwater. So that'll be a pretty useful elemental shield if you're having a hard time with underwater levels in general, which again, I very appreciate those elemental shields will make a return during the forms of Sonic Mania back in 2017, as you probably already know. So something's worth mentioning though is about the fact that there's another huge differences between multiple versions of Sonic 3 and Knuckles in comparison to the forms of this particular compilation of Sonic 3 and Knuckles in Sonic Origins, that there's gonna be some 3 zones in the game coming up, and during at some point until tomorrow anyway, that some of these zones do have different music, because again, due to the forms of the licensing issues, which as a result I will mention more about it whenever we get to those zones until tomorrow, because for now, we'll simply gonna have to able to go through 3 zones from now on though, just because of not only we'll able to actually still keep on collecting some more, you know, Chaos Emeralds, because relatively speaking, whenever you first time you've played a game, you do realize that you've instantly turned into Super Sonic at first, but then you realize that you get knocked out thanks to Knuckles the Echidna, and as a result he stole the Chaos Emeralds. So it's up to us to able to actually get those Chaos Emeralds again. So, but this time around though with a different special stage, of course. Alright, 5 Chaos Emeralds down and only 2 more to go. I think, relatively speaking, we can probably get the final 2 Chaos Emeralds during at some point in Act 2. So hopefully that makes it seems to be the case here. So, oh, what the heck? And of course, since to be expected, that we can now able to perform not only for the forms of the drop dash, as you probably already saw, but also with the instant shield, so that way you can able to deal the double the amount of damage to the forms of not only for certain boss encounters, but also with certain enemies if you're having a hard time with certain things. So, there we go, that pretty much does it for Act 1, and it's a good thing I somehow jump out of the water before the actual result screen happens, because otherwise I will drown. So now on to Act 2 right here, so we can just simply blaze away for the sake of trying to, you know, spin dash all the way over there, and relatively speaking, we can now do drop dash on this part right here now, so we'll make this part a lot more easier, and there's no spring right in front of our face, because obviously this is based off from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because unlike in the original Sonic 3, that basically though, that spring was there, as opposed to the actual item monitor. So either way though, chances are though, there are some layout differences if you ever played Sonic 3 and Knuckles, or Sonic 3 alone. So either way though, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. And I can assure you about the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, honestly, that's as far as I can say about this for the most part right here, apart from the fact that I've already mentioned about the fact that, well, sometimes though about the fact that, relatively speaking, most people seem to complain about the forms of the music changes, until whenever we get to the next 3 zones coming up. Well, Not right now though, but after we able to complete Marble Garden Zone most likely. So either way though. And also I just realized it's about the fact that every time you get a 1-up or a coin in the anniversary mode, that if you get like 100 rings or if you essentially come across into a 1-up or anything else like that, somehow we get ourselves the Sonic 3 1-up jingle, whilst compared to the forms of the invincibility theme, it's basically based off from the Sonic & Knuckles invincibility theme. Like, even then though, here's an example. If we see that monitor right there, yeah, that theme sounds familiar because it's based off from Sonic 3 alone. So, yeah, that might be some consumption. So anyways, the next thing I want to mention though, in regards to the forms of today's discussion, is that, well, relatively speaking, that we're actually getting ourselves, some of these dates are actually going to be coming during at some point in this month in particular. Well, I'm probably not going to mention about it right now, but I will mention more about it whenever we get to the point until, like, the next couple of, minutes or so, because for now, we're about to take on the 6th special stage before we get on to the 7th and the final special stage in the Sonic 3 portion of those special stages, because, well, as I said before, that we will come across into Super Emeralds until whenever we get to the Sonic & Knuckles portions of certain levels, so everything else will be pretty much accounted for. So yeah, seriously, I just can't even believe about the fact that, well, we were able to actually tackle through, well, not one, but 2 compilation Let's Plays throughout the majority of 2023 so far. Which, I'm guessing probably because about the fact that as far as what, both Mighty and Ray have already mentioned about this earlier, during the course of the Super Mario Bros. Portion of that particular playthrough in Super Mario All-Stars, that the Super Mario All-Stars compilation game itself, to be more specifically on the Super Nintendo version, that particular compilation is going to be turned into 30 years old this year. And especially noticeable about that time about the fact that the Mario movie is also coming as well. So it might be a perfect opportunity that we can able to actually let them to tackle through Super Mario All-Stars before the actual movie comes out of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So, and in fact, the matter is though, we've only just got about barely 1 month left until the actual film finally comes out. So I was really looking forward to it though, especially noticeable, well, despite the fact that back in the 90s though, that Mario and I are basically both rivals back in the day, but still. And of course, just like in Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 and Sonic Origins version of this particular compilation, if you managed able to actually get yourselves some coins, you're able to get 3 coins. So, well, assuming of course if you collect like 50 rings and stuff like that, so yeah, not much else to add around here, especially noticeable about the fact that it's the exact same amount if you ever played the forms of the other, like, 2 games before in this compilation, so seriously, I just really love the Hydro City theme, especially noticeable for Act 2's case, but either way though, because for a moment there, I almost first thought I'm pretty much used to hearing the Sonic Mania version of that particular music at this rate, just because, there goes all my rings! I didn't pay attention to that particular spiked wall. Oh well, at least we're able to deal with this okay enough as far as that's been concerned with, so. And I don't know about the actual death counts for the sake of the forms of this particular run-through in Sonic 3 and Knuckles as far as I'm aware. Well, we'll find out exponentially, because I know for a fact that in Sonic 1, we didn't die too many times, but I do definitely know in Sonic 2, we did die a lot of times due to the forms of Tails' AI, and as well as from that though, getting crushed without even knowing, and especially noticeable with, of course, the Death Egg robot, so including with the forms of Mecha Sonic as well, so. Anyways, here we go with the final special stage in the Sonic 3 portion of the game, so easily one of the hardest in the game. Well, to be more specifically, the hardest special stages in the Sonic 3 portion of the game. Well, mind you about the fact that, again, if you manage able to mess up and don't touch the red spheres, well, obviously you can use your bonus coins to able to give that special stage another try. So, either way though, that's super generous, you know? And also every time whenever you like keep on wandering around in the special stages, then the actual speeds can get a lot more sped up. So either way though, it's just all about the forms of somewhat of a timing aspect or something like that. So So yeah, I was gonna have to mainly concentrate on this point, guys, because I just really want able to get the supersonic transformation again. Except this time around, though, what makes this a bit weird in this version is that it also replaces the forms of the music itself as well, which you'll see why as soon as we're able to actually finish this special stage first, so... Oh boy, where's the final 4 blue spheres? I know it's around here. Oh, there we go. Hey, sometimes it can be a labyrinthy kind of like layout and everything until when it gets to the point until whenever we get into the first stage of Sonic & Knuckles coming up. But either way, we've got all 7 Chaos Emeralds in our hands, so once again, just like in Sonic 2, we now have the ability to turn into Super Sonic, so yeah, nothing different from here, apart from the fact that, well, with a different music is about to able to show up at any point, and we've actually got enough rings for able to actually turn into Super Sonic once we're able to take on the next boss fight, so... Oh god, it's Knuckles! Anyway, but let's just go ahead and dodge those spikes here, and before we take on the boss, let me go ahead and get into the actual gumball machine before we're able to actually grind for more rings and such. Yeah, what makes this a bit weird, too, is that for whatever reason, they show us not only the score counts, but also the time resets itself as well. I honestly have no idea why they've gone for that particular decision. Well, mind you, because I'm used to with the forms of, I think Bubble Shield might be fine for me. Although, I was originally trying to able to show you guys the actual different theme of the supersonic theme of this version of the game during at some point, but Bubble Shield awaits us by simply just keep on bouncing onto him, but either way though, I've lost my Bubble Shield, so, oh well. No big deal, but at the very least we've already finished him off, so with, you know, multitude of bouncing onto him, so there we go. Hydro City Zone is completed, so as a result we now move on to the 3rd zone, which is, well, you'll soon to find out once the actual level transition is about able to await us, so... And here we go into Marble Garden Zone. So in some cases a pretty cool zone to me though, especially... why didn't you just let me go forward? It's one of those another collusion things is going on around here that it just somehow forces me to stop at the wall while I was going at full speed in this particular transition. Oh well, no big deal, but at least it's not the end of the world personally, so... But anyway, let's talk about the forms of that particular discussion alike, and that is about the fact that, well, I'm happy to report that PAX East is definitely going to be happening, but what makes it even better, that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are actually both confirmed to be coming on PAX East in this year. So I don't know exactly what they're going to bring us into the table, but I do definitely know about the fact that the actual PAX East is going to be happening until the 23rd of March, that's roughly about 19 days time. So yeah, between 23rd of March all the way up to the 26th of March. So yeah, I cannot wait to see how that's going to turn out for both Nintendo alongside with the forms of the Pokemon Company as well, but either way though, we'll find out in due time. So, and as far as I'm aware, also same applies with the forms of the SXSW panel that obviously is going to be happening until next Friday, which appears to be the March the 10th of, well, on Friday. Which, kind of thinking about it, that was roughly exactly the same day as Happy Mario 10 Day at some point also in next Friday as well. I mean, it's a bit of a shame there's no new Mario games have been announced so far in this year, probably because they want to focus on not only for the Mario movie, but also with some more DLC content for not only for Mario Plus Rapid Sparks of Hope, but also with the forms of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC and stuff like that. Which, speaking of Mario Kart 8 though, that's, I recently got back into the Wii U version of the game still, and still, I'm pretty much used to with the Switch version at this rate right now, just because, you know what I mean with all that double item system, and you probably name the rest. And speaking of Mario Kart though, that's the next tour should be on its way, but either way though, I'm pretty sure that Maxi has already pointed things out, or potentially speaking that both Mighty and Ray have already both mentioned about it, or I don't know, maybe I should suppose I'll let Maxi will mention more details about that, or Mighty and Ray will both also will mention about it and join at some point. Because I know for a fact that I do apologize if my commentary is a little bit, again, a little bit iffy at this point, but apart from the fact that I was pretty dang excited to see what's going to be new in store for in March. Well, aside from... Okay, so this is what the actual Supersonic theme it sounds like. Well, I suppose if you probably did not know already, this is almost entirely based off from the PC version of Sonic 3 and Knuckles when it comes to the Supersonic theme or something. Because mind you about the fact that, well, I do definitely know it comes from Sonic & Knuckles collection on PC, originally released in 1997, so usually that particular compilation does contain the majority of Sonic 3 games, so as a result though, it obviously contains Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sonic & Knuckles, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. No Sonic 2 in Knuckles or anything else like that. Again, I apologize for that commentary issue, so... But hopefully I'll mention more details about other stuff and during at some point in future time. But from now on though, we obviously already taken down the mini-boss in the forms of Marble Golden Zone. And I'm very surprised we actually beat this level within the quickest time if possible, so that's actually pretty swell. And of course, we actually got a lot of rings, 287. Like, that was tremendous, I'm telling you. Well, mind you, apart from the fact that I'm probably not going to be able to get that much score bonuses in this run, just because, well, exponentially speaking, though, it doesn't really matter if we die so many times, because otherwise, you know, we got infinite amount of lives and all that stuff, though, so I suppose it really doesn't matter. Oh, hey, Eggman, how's it going there? Although I suppose you'll be using that little drill thing, aren't you? Man, I just really love the drop dash, especially, as I said before, oh god. Oh, this thing is actually moves a lot smoother this time around, which, that seems all pretty cool and snazzy at the same time. And I think something tells me there is a very well hidden thing is right in here. Or does it take me to the alternative path? Or in some cases I've got myself, I suppose, more coins and rings and stuff like that. Oh, there's another thing that does bother me a little bit, is that every time when you get an extra life, or a coin or whatever, basically the music just somehow restarts itself, so... No! Ah, come on! I get Eggman as soon as I get in here! Oh, jeez, I hate luck factor. Hey. No, I suppose it really doesn't matter anyway, because either way though, hopefully I would... Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, jeez, I hate when if I get Eggman sometimes. Oh, Jesus Christ. No matter what, though, I think we should probably just go ahead and leave, because, well, I just don't want to waste too much rings for all the likes of, you know, getting Eggman multiple times. But anyway, yeah, something that does bother me, though, about this version a little bit, that is the fact that, as I said before, every time you get a 1-up or anything else like that, the music, it somehow restarts itself, which, I've honestly have no idea why they come for that decision for that particular music restart segment. Well, it kind of does the same thing every time whenever you do manage to equip something on the likes of Super Monkey Ball Deluxe in Monkey Talking mode in version 1 most likely, that basically though the music just somehow starts all over again if you manage to able to select something, which I've no idea why I'm questioning that, but either way though, that's saying something. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. Is Sonic 3 and Knuckles is your absolute favorite Sonic game ever? Because sure enough for me though, it certainly is one of them, just because, you know, I just really love the sense of the zones are pretty cool looking. And on top of all that stuff though, it does have a lot of replayability, like 14 zones in one grand adventure. Like, relatively speaking though, that's super top notch and everything. So, anyway, so, oh yeah, some things I also want to mention is that after you get, like, you know, if you grab all 7 Chaos Symbols throughout the run, and if you stumble across the actual giant ring in somewhere hidden in certain zones, you're able to actually get 50 bonus rings. So, just to ensure you're able to actually keep on adding your rings count if you really want to turn into Super Sonic and stuff like that. So, I mean, relatively speaking, back in the day, that when it comes to supersonic themes in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, they obviously managed to able to reuse exactly the same theme as the new forms of the invincibility theme based off from Sonic and Knuckles, potentially. So either way, though, that might be, something, I guess. Now, I do definitely know for the fact that, relatively speaking, when it comes to, you know, Sonic and Knuckles collection on PC, they obviously do have different music as well, so, relatively speaking, that's all I can really say about this for the most part, so we'll just take down these little, things itself, or we can able to actually use Supersonic to able to bust out these little pillars, so we can potentially try to make this particular zone such a cakewalk to complete, but either way, though, that's all I can really say about this, so I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this as well, that for what I've noticed, that a lot of people are not really gonna be hyped about the films of Toy Story 5 for whatever reason. Well, mind you, because it doesn't need to exist anyway. Well, it might be unnecessary and all that stuff though, after the events of what really happened in the 4th film. Well, mind you about the fact that I'm probably not gonna spoil things too much about it, for those who have not seen the film yet, but either way though, I'm curious to check it out, but I don't know what the actual plot is going to be all about. But either way though, time will tell in the future years to come, because mind you, the only Pixar film we're probably going to be getting this year is obviously going to be Elemental, so either way though, which I think it was alright, but it's just about the fact that, well, personally speaking though, until next year, I'm really looking forward to seeing Inside Out 2 the most. Although I don't know what this is going to be all about either. Well, mind you, time will tell until next year, so by that time, also during the forms of next year as well, that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic & Knuckles games separately will both become 30 years old next year, so yeah, time flies, you know? So now we're gonna get to the point that we have to able to evacuate very quickly before we get crushed, because otherwise, if we dare get crushed by certain structure and stuff like that, well, basically you have to able to start all over. And whoa, what the heck was all that screen scrolling graphical error right there? I have no idea why I'm questioning that, but either way though, that's all I can say about it, so alright then, Eggman, let's see what you can do. So I think, oh, you're standing on a different position this time, or hovering around in a different spot this time, because in the original, obviously you go hover in the middle, but now you go onto the right, so obviously you will kick your butt, thanks to the forms of supersonic transformation, like no problem. And that's pretty much about it for Marble Garden Zone, so I think we should probably end things up here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Sonic Origins while we're playing through Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, is the fact that we'll might as well finish up in Sonic 3 portion by going through Carnival Night Zone all the way up to Launch Bay Zone. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later, fellas.